The Affirmations, also referred to as the Admissions, is a document written around 1946 or 1947 by L. Ron Hubbard, a few years before he established Dianetics in 1950, which formed the basis for Scientology. And it says here in 1952, but actually Scientology was first incorporated in Camden, New Jersey in December of 1953, the same year, coincidentally or not, that Project MK Ultra was formed. The document consists of a series of statements by and addressed to Hubbard relating to various physical, sexual, psychological, and social issues that he was encountering in his life. After the Affirmations became public knowledge in 1984, the Church of Scientology initially disputed their authenticity. However, they later effectively admitted the document's authorship, describing the work in legal papers as having been, quote, written by Hubbard and seeking to retain ownership of it. And the Affirmations were intended to be used as a form of self-hypnosis with the intention of resolving Hubbard's psychological problems and instilling a positive mental attitude. They're closely linked to the occult philosophy of Thelema, devised by Aleister Crowley in the 20th century, in which Hubbard participated for a while during 1945 and 46. And we've covered this quite extensively on the series as well as in interviews, and we'll be going much more into this whole area in future episodes. In her book Inside Scientology, The Story of America's Most Secretive Religion, Janet Reitman calls the Affirmations, quote, the most revealing psychological self-assessment, complete with exhortations to himself, that Hubbard has ever made. And she's definitely right about that. Now let's see what Gerry Armstrong, the man who first exposed these and the first person to put them up on the net in the year 2000, has to say about the Affirmations/admissions of Hubbard. In that declaration, I provided my expert opinion that the exposing or dissemination of Scientology's, quote, sacred scriptures, which exposure or dissemination the organization prohibits, suppresses, and punishes by commercial, secular copyright, and trademark laws, and millions upon millions of lawyer scumbag assholes, is justified by the greater principle of religious freedom. I stated that publication of Scientology's secret scriptures is, in my opinion, constitutionally protected religious expression. Hubbard's admissions are quite obviously a part of Scientology's scriptures. On the holiness scale, they are holier than the holiest of the advanced technology scriptures, and those are the OT levels, which I've been covering and showing you in recent Scientology videos, because the people who run Scientology won't show them to Scientologists even if they have $500,000 to pay and agree to the organizational implant. Although the admissions are the holiest of Scientology's scriptures, the Miscavige regime withholds them for the identical commercial, secular, base, and criminal reasons they withhold the OT levels. The NOTS, that stands for New Era Dianetics for OTs, that's OT5 and above, FYI, and the whereabouts of Xenu's mountain cave, which we also covered in a recent video. Please see Scientology's Secret OT3 lecture. Scientology has set no prerequisites or punishments that I'm aware of for Scientologists reading Hubbard's admissions, and for that, at least, I'm grateful. I believe that the admissions should be read by every Scientologist at whatever point they find themselves on the bridge. Scientologists won't get pneumonia, they might have some good cognitions, and they might become free. The admissions were very important to me in getting free of the web of lies Hubbard and Scientology had spun, and getting free of their domination and suppression. I'm posting these writings now with the prayer that they help to free other Scientologists from Hubbard's and Miscavige's lies, domination, and suppression. If Hubbard has been humbled and regained his willfully lost humanity, that I doubt, I know he too would want every Scientologist to read all his admissions. For fair use purposes, the context for the post containing the admissions is the global controversy about Hubbard, about Scientology's antecedents, about Hubbard's psyche, his honesty or dishonesty, his mental technology, Excalibur, his promises, his aims, his history, his theology, his hypnotism, his Navy record, his non-Navy record, and other clearly controversial Hubbard-connected conundrums. The context is a controversy we see every day on ARS and in the media all around the world. The period when Hubbard made these admissions involved John Whiteside Parsons, a famous black magician who we've also covered in previous episodes that got up to black magic rituals in the backyard and creating the Moonchild with Hubbard. Sarah Northrup, his family, magic, his, quote, development of Dianetics leading to the publication of the book that would make him famous and lead on to Scientology. Funnily, Hubbard and Scientology claimed that he was a special officer for the LAPD in this period, and that he was working for the U.S. Navy to break up Parsons' black magic ring. There's a VA record showing that around the time of the admissions, Hubbard sought psychiatric help. So here we go with Diary of a Madman. This is what Hubbard actually wrote in his diary, and he used self-hypnosis and drugs to burn the following words into his brain. Course 1. The purpose of this experiment is to reestablish the ambition, willpower, desire to survive, the talent, and confidence of myself. To accomplish the above, the following fears must be removed. Fear that I have written myself out by writing junk. You have. I built certain psychoses in myself while living with my former wife as a means to protect my writing. I affirm that my writing was hard work and took much labor. This was a lie. I was always anxious about people's opinion of me and was afraid I would bore them. This injected anxiety and careless speed into my work. I must be convinced that I can write skillfully and well, that I have no phobias about writing and no fears of it. People criticize my work bitterly at times. I must be convinced that such people were fools. I must be convinced that I can write far better than ever before, that 1 million people at least would be happy to see my stories. I must be convinced that I have succeeded in writing and with ease will regain my popularity, which actually was not small. But your penis was. I must also be convinced that I dictate stories to a dictaphone with ease. I must be told that my memory is strong and reliable, that I can remember all I have ever read or studied, that no illness or medicine has affected my mind or memory. My service record was not too glorious. I must be convinced that I suffer no reaction from any minor disciplinary action, that all such were minor. My service was honorable, my initiative and ability high. I have nothing to fear from friends about my service. I can forget such things as Admiral Braisted. Such people are unworthy of my notice. I can have no doubts of my psychic powers. My magical ability is high and clear. I earn my titles in command. Any distaste I have for Jack Parsons, who I probably had a hand in his mysterious death/murder, originated in a psychic experiment. Such distaste is foolish. He is my friend and comrade in arms. Sexual feeling has been depressed by several things amounting to a major impasse. To cure ulcers of the stomach, I was given testosterone and stirbistrol. These reduced my libido to nothing. While taking these drugs, I fell in love with Sarah. She can be most exciting sexually to me. Because of drugs, as above, and a hangover from my ex-wife Polly, I sometimes am unexcited by anything sexual. This depresses me. Polly was very bad for me sexually. Because of her coldness physically, the falsity of her pretensions, I believe myself a near eunuch between 1933 and 1936. When I found I was attractive to other women, yeah, right, I had many affairs, but my failure to please Polly made me always pay so much attention to my momentary mate that I derived small pleasure myself. This, of course, was an anxiety neurosis which cut down my natural power. In 1942, December 17th or thereabouts, while training in Miami, Florida, I met a girl named Ginger who excited me. She was a very loose person, but pretended a great love for me. From her, I received an infection of gonorrhea. I was terrified by it, the consequences of being discovered by my wife, the Navy, my friends. I went to a private doctor who treated me with sulfurize, or whatever the hell that is, and so forth. I thought I was cured, but on a plane headed to Portland, Oregon, I found I was not. I took to dosing myself with sulfa, as one does, in such quantities that I was afraid I had affected my brain. You most definitely did. I carried this fear of the disease to sea with me. I was reprimanded in San Diego in mid-1943 for firing on the Mexican coast and was removed from command of my ship. This, on top of having sunk 2 Jap subs, that's complete bullshit, without credit, the way my crew lied for me at the court of inquiry, the insults of the high command, all combined to put me in the hospital with ulcers. I have a very bad masturbatory history. I was taught when I was 11, and despite guilt, fear of insanity, etc., I persisted. At a physical examination at a Y when I was about 13, the examiner and the people with him called me out of the line because my testicles hung low, and he cautioned me about what would happen if I kept on masturbating. This discovery was like a really bad shock to me. By eliminating certain fears by hypnosis, curing my rheumatism, and laying off hormones, I hope to restore my former libido. I must. By hypnosis, I must be convinced as follows. I can write. I need not think commercially about writing. My mind is still brilliant, my memory unaffected by drugs or experience. that masturbation was no sin or crime and did not injure me. No sexual practice has ever dulled old Ron. That things sexual thrill me, that I am now returned to the same feelings I had at 16 about sex, where excitement is concerned, that naked women and pornography excite me greatly, that Sarah excites me greatly and gives me much pleasure. Jesus Christ, this guy's nauseating. That I bear no physical aftermath of disease, that I don't need to have ulcers anymore, that my eyes, which I just use as an excuse to get out of school, are perfect and do not pain me ever, that I love in Sarah everything I loved in Polly or Helen, and that such love is now simply transferred over to Sarah. That I'm fortunate in losing Polly and my parents, for they never meant well by me. That I never need be jealous of Sarah's past, that she loves me and is utterly faithful, that she thrills me more than Helen ever did, that life is beautiful to me, that I want to live, that things taste and smell and look and feel wonderful to me, that I wrote a great book in the One Command. That, by the way, is a precursor to the infamous Excalibur book, where the people that read it were said to have immediately thrown themselves out the window and committed suicide. And that it removed all my fears, even until now, except that my chapters on the mind, of course, do not apply to my own mind. That I have willpower and great mental control. That I need not associate anything unless I wish. That I have only friendship for Jack Parsons, whom I probably killed or had killed. That I feel no wish for vengeance towards anyone. That I love people and I believe in honor and I believe in glory and I believe in my gods and I believe in spiritual things and nothing can halt my ambitions. That I need not believe the criticism of anyone, that vicious criticism can be forgotten by me at will, that I tell the truth and must tell the truth, that all past errors and lies are simply forgotten, that I have started a new, free life, that the arts and beauties run strong in me and cannot be denied by anyone, that I am well and that there is no advantage in appearing ill, that my code is to be all things a magus, that's a magician, must be, that I am those things, that I burn high and bright and will last as a potent and brilliant force until well after the century is run, that I'm not credulous or absorbent of other people's opinions, I just want them dead at the slightest criticism, that this hypnosis will not fade but will only increase in power as time advances, that my magical work is powerful and effective, that nothing can tarnish my love of life, my hours, my love of Sarah, and I have the power of banishing anything which would seek to do so, and that all things will seem wonderful and exciting to me all the rest of my days, that the numbers 7, 25, and 16 are not unlucky or evil for me, that no number is any different in its influence upon me than any other number, that the 7th, 16th, and 25th are not unlucky or unfortunate days of the month for me, silly. I have no bad connotations with these numbers. They've done nothing to harm me. That I need not subscribe to any moral code of sex anywhere. That I'm constant to Sarah. I have no terrors of sex or sexual conduct. Only pleasure and beauty are contained in it. That I may please myself with the act or be pleased with sexual things. That the sexual matters taught me by Flavia do not apply. Do tell, Ron, who's Flavia? My chastity lies in loving Sarah. That I will not forget these things, but will enjoin them with all related ideas as more powerful than any other ideas in my head. That all ideas to destroy myself are false, for I love life, and I am free and an exuberant spirit in it. That I can't associate any of my lacking libido with Sarah. The blame lies elsewhere. Sarah has enormous powers to thrill me. She's a bobcat in the sack. Hormones and fears, now gone, were at fault. Sexually, I am as I was at 16, without any of the fears, with all the powers, with all the knowledge I now possess turned to wonderful things, that I see and hear Rayon clearly. That anything which impedes my zest for living is small and puny and will simply dwindle before the power of these statements. That nothing in me which is evil can have heard these statements and commands without simply disappearing. That I am not bad to look upon. Motherfucker, have you ever once looked in the mirror or seen your teeth? That my posture is straight and excellent, that Sarah likes my looks, that my endurance in any climate is wonderful, and any mere fact otherwise is completely false. That I'm not susceptible to colds, that I believe in myself and am poised and dignified whenever I wish to be, that I'm not worn out in any way and never will be, that life is ever new, that I am strong, that Sarah's always beautiful to me, that these words and commands are like fire and will sear themselves into every corner of my being, making me happy, goddammit, and well and confident forever. Note: much of the above may seem cryptic, but if paraphrased as rendered will be enormously effective. And that's a note from the very brave ex-Scientologist Gerry Armstrong, who posted all this. So that's the end of Course 1, and if you think that's crazy, wait until you see Course 2 in Part 2 of this video. And I'm going to read you a little excerpt of it to whet your appetite, because I know you can't wait to hear what this jackass has to say. So here we go. You are asleep. You're not accountable for anything you say now. No one will think any less of you. People want to help you. In this one lesson, you're going to learn several things. The first is the use of your beautiful new SoundScriber. Remember, this is like in the 50s and 60s and shit. The instrument is your aid and companion. It makes it possible for you to write 10 times the stories you did before. You have no urge to talk about your Navy life. You do not like to talk of it. You never illustrate your point with bogus stories. It is not necessary. Jesus. It is not necessary for you to lie to be amusing and witty. You like to have your intimate friends approve of and love you for what you are. The desire to be loved does not amount to a psychosis. It's simply there and you enjoy their love. You can sing beautifully. Your voice can imitate any singer. Your tones are round and true. You have no superstitions about singing at any time. Your oratory is magnificent. Your voice tone's perfect. Your choice of words marvelous. Your logic unassailable. Your psychology is good. You work to darken your own children. This failure with them was only apparent. The evident lack of effectiveness was, quote, ordered. The same psychology works perfectly on everyone else. You use it with great confidence. Nothing can intervene between you and your guardian. She cannot be displaced because she's too powerful. She does not control you. She simply advises you. You may or may not take the advice. You are an adept and have a wonderful and brilliant mind of your own. So, join us for Part 2, where we continue on with the words of a very sad, bad, and mad fucking man.
Diary